So the importance of book distribution, Srila Prabhupada said that even if they touch the book, they get benefited. What to speak if they read it? He says if they read one sloka, or even one word, he says their life will become perfect. Yes, these books are like deities, so therefore we ask the devotees to take care of them very nicely. If you're taking books from the temple, make sure you keep them nicely, don't let them get wet and damaged, and don't leave them somewhere disrespectful. Just treat them like deities practically. You shouldn't bathe them in the morning though. And of course, sometimes we think, well, I'm not really knowledgeable, I'm not so qualified. But Srila Prabhupada said to us that whatever you've learned in Krishna consciousness, just try to give that to others. So whatever you've benefited, you feel you've benefited, you've left an old life behind, you've benefited somehow, then they're just the same. They're also looking for an improvement. The struggle for survival in the material world is continually, everyone's trying to improve their lot, try to improve, you know what I mean by a lot, to improve their situation. And the best way they can improve it is to be connected to Krishna. So that verse is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Brahmanda Brahmati Konya Bhagavana Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. That the living entity is wandering throughout the whole universe, taking birth in different species, different planets. Finally, they get the human form of life. And finally, the human form of life in Kali Yuga, where Lord Chaitanya was just here 500 years ago. So they've got such an amazing opportunity right here and now. They have probably, and we may never had such a great opportunity for many, many births, and they may never get one again. So by simply distributing these books, we can even ensure that they get a human form of life again at least. So this Sanktan movement is all auspicious. It increases Anandam Budhivardhanam, increases the ocean of transcendental bliss. So when Lord Chaitanya, his anxiety, because he's so compassionate, Mahavadanyaya avatar, because he's so compassionate, then he has an anxiety for the fallen souls. And when we go out there to try to reclaim the fallen souls on Lord Chaitanya's behalf, we're relieving his anxiety. And everyone's a winner. Lord Chaitanya, he's winning because he's seeing the spirit souls being reminded of who they are. The recipient of mercy is a winner. Those who receive the books are also a winner. And we're in a winner situation as well because we're getting the mercy and we're giving the mercy. So sometimes we pray to the Lord, pray to the deities for mercy, and the quickest way to get the mercy is actually to give the mercy. When the postman does his job, he's not considering the content of well, it's a little bit different for devotees, but he's not concerned so much whether he's fit or not, he's an authorized representative. So we're authorized representatives to deliver these books like a transcendental post. So we can also remember that we shouldn't try to concern ourselves too much with trying to qualify people, because the person who gets the book may not be the person who reads the book. And there was the question put to Srila Prabhupada. Devotees were talking about how long should they spend with people, and then they had discussed, okay, well, if you spend too long with somebody, you might be there for half an hour, and then they don't even take a book. So how many people did you miss? But so the question was, okay, we'll just make it 3 minutes, and if the person's not convinced by 3 minutes, we'll just say, okay, thanks, and go on to someone else. But even at that, Srila Prabhupada emphasized, he says, what use is your 3 minutes preaching? If they take this book, it will change their life. So our main thing is to give them Prabhupada's association. I don't mean to embarrass you, Ash, but if I can recount some of your Sankirtan tactics, is that all right? We used to do Sankirtan in Glasgow in 1984. And it's interesting, Scotland's quite a small country. The major city is Glasgow, which is only 1 million, and that's pushing it, really. I think they're just trying to go into the million bracket. And the devotees have been doing it for nearly 40 years. So that means that they must be behaving themselves. So I just remember when Ash was on the street, well, wherever we went. Sorry, I forgot you're translating. This happens actually when you get into Sankirtan, you become highly aware of the value of time. So Ash used to wait until he was bursting for the toilet, and then he'd run all the way to the toilet and back, because he didn't want to spend. He knew that the less time you spend off the street, then the less you lose that fire. Yes. Sometimes we see devotees, they maybe go for a Gayatri break or a toilet break, and they come back half an hour later looking like this. I also remember that one of the best days I did was in Aberdeen, and even though it was my best score, I became even more aware of how many were slipping through my hands, how many I was missing. So just to get us in the mood, Lord Chaitanya's compassionate mood, I thought we would sing this song, Jeev Jago. So we'll just read the translation first of all. Lord Gauranga is calling, wake up, sleeping souls, wake up, sleeping souls. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? You have forgotten the way of devotional service and are lost in the world of birth and death. I have descended just to save you. Other than myself, you have no friend in this world. I have brought the medicine that will wipe out the disease of illusion from which you are suffering. take this Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I fall at the Lord's feet having taken this Maha Mantra. So we'll just go through this once. It's a nice song and it encapsulates Lord Chaitanya's mission, his mood. He's come here simply to reclaim us back to the spiritual world. I was just saying the other day that when we were in Mayapur a few years back, Raghunath and I, we went to one class and one devotee was saying that everyone is a spirit soul eternally related to Krishna, and they're sitting there just waiting in their house wondering, when is Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda going to come and save me? So we are their representatives and we're taking this message to them. This is directly coming from the Lord to them. And just as we were before we came to Krishna consciousness, then they're no less qualified, or they're no more disqualified than we were. Of course, as Kali Yuga goes on, things get worse and worse, so the sooner people join, the better. Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole. Kotanidra Jao Maya Pishachira Kole. Bajibo Bole Aeshe Samsara Vitale. Bulearo hele to me, Avijara Bhade. Tomare loyete ame, hoine avatara. Ame bina bandhuara, ke ache tomara. Enichi aushadi maya, nase barola ke. Hari Nama Mantra Laho tu me magi. Bhakti Vinoda Prabhu Charane Pariya. Say Hare Nama Mantra Lo Elo Magia Jiv Jago Gora Chandra Bole Kotanidra Jao Maya Ishachira Kole Jaya Kodanita Jaya Maya Purushashitaya Kodanita Jaya Maya Purushashi Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. ISKCON Guruvinda ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Shri Shikho Nitai Mahaprasad ki, Shri Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Distribution Marathon ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. So I'd like to invite the Shri Krishna Prabhu to come and say a few words, and then after that Raghunath's got a presentation to make.
So just a few points to help the devotees. It's interesting the word Astra and Shastra are connected because Astra is a weapon and Shastra is full of astras that we can use to throw at ignorance. So when you're there out on Sankirtan, then you're right up against so many different problems. And if you have a few astras, then you can throw them at the material energy. Because it can seem like you're out there on your own. In fact, it can seem that not only are you out there on your own with a whole street full of people that are against you, but you're out there on your own with a whole street of people that are against you, plus your mind is against you as well. So it can be a very lonely place. And anyone that's done Sankirtan will know the last place you want to be, if your sadness not good, the last place on the planet is on Sankirtan, because you can't escape it. You can't be anybody other than who you are, and who you are at that particular point may not be so good. So I don't know if you're aware of where the word marathon comes from. Marathon is a town somewhere near Athens, and when Athens was under attack, they sent a runner to Sparta to ask if they could give him a hand, which was 500 miles away, or there and back. Anyway, he ran all the way there, and Sparta said, nope. So he had to run all the way back. So he ran all the way back, and he told them, nope, and then he died. So in that case, he ran to death. But our run is to deathlessness. So we will, if we run, and we collapse, you can be sure Lord Chaitanya will be there to catch you in his arms. So that's a nice meditation. If anyone is thinking of running themselves into the ground this marathon, Lord Chaitanya will be there for you, don't worry. The first person we have to engage on Sankirtan is ourselves. First person you've got to engage is yourself. If you don't engage yourself on Sankirtan, it'll be really difficult to engage anybody else. In other words, you have to be into it. If you're not into it, take this book, it's all about happiness. So then the person's thinking, this book doesn't work. Or if it does work, you've not read it. Or if you've read it, you've not put it into practice. So how long you have to do Sankirtan? Sometimes devotees will say, how long do we have to do this marathon? How long do I have to do Sankirtan? So you only have to do Sankirtan until you want to do it. Because when you want to do Sankirtan, then you don't have to do it anymore. So that's up to you. As soon as you want to do it, then you don't have to do it anymore. So what's the breaking point on Sankirtan? There's a certain point where you break. If you're chanting your rounds, there's a certain point where it breaks and the rounds aren't difficult anymore. On Sankirtan, the breaking point is the point where you meet somebody that's nice. Once you meet somebody that's nice and receptive, that's when things change. The whole street changes. It becomes an ocean of opportunities instead of a tsunami of, they're called orgs, aren't they? Orgs from Lord of the Rings, yeah. So the street changes. Suddenly it's not a tsunami of orgs. It's an amazing chance with so many opportunities to meet nice people. But that breaking point is usually once you've met one sincere soul that really, really wants spiritual life and is hanging on your every word and takes the books and shows so much appreciation, then immediately, wow, okay, the whole mindset changes. So sometimes you have to be patient until you meet that person, but you can be focused that that's what I need, that's my breaking point. When's Krishna going to send somebody along? So, how you are with people on Sankirtan tells the people what the book will do for them. How you are on Sankirtan tells the people what the book will do for them. So if you're really, really bubbling over and you've got a spring in your step, a smile on your face, a little twinkle in your eye, they're thinking, wow, if I get this book, maybe I can become fearless and happy like this person, because you'd never catch me running up to people all day in Buchanan Street like this, and this guy's doing it and he's loving it. I think I'd like to try that as well, you know? So then they buy the book because they think, well, maybe the book will do the same for me. So Krishna wants us to engage everybody fully, and we have to think, what is it that's stopping me from engaging them fully? Because certainly Krishna would like them to give their entire life savings, give themselves. Srila Prabhupada had such an effect that people didn't just give a donation, they gave their lives. So Prabhupada was like a real Sankirtan devotee. So what is it in us that's stopping Krishna from using us to engage people fully? Because Krishna would like them to be engaged fully. Another thing which is nice to reflect upon is nobody has a problem with going out on Harinam. If we say we're going to do Harinam in an hour, everyone's, yay, Harinam, Hari Bol. The problem is, the reason why devotees aren't so keen on doing book distribution is on Harinam, you don't have to collect any Lakshmi. You can just go out and give people the holy name. But the fact is, you can go out and do book distribution, and you can be a one-man Harinam, because you can go out and sing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, excuse me, Hare Krishna. So you're on Harinam, and then sometimes a person will stop, and you can do a book. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, but if you're doing Sankirtan next to the Harinam party, it's a lot easier to distribute a book because you're in the Vaikuntha atmosphere. So just create your Vaikuntha atmosphere. Just go on Harinam, sing the holy name, create a Vaikuntha bubble, and then invite people in. So the best technique you can learn on Sankirtan is the technique to listen. If you can listen, you may be the first person they've ever met in their life that's listened to them, you know? And the ability to listen is really your ability to chant. Because when you're chanting, when you chant a lot of rounds, you get really good at listening, and then you go out and do Sankirtan. It's very easy to engage because you can hear what the person is saying. You can hear behind what the person is saying. You can hear that the person is saying, I'm suffering, or whatever they're saying anyway. But you're able to hear that. So your ability to do Sankirtan and engage people effectively is really determined by your ability to listen. Can you just listen with full focus on that person's words? And when the person feels that you are really listening to them, then you really convey to them a mood of concern and genuine compassion. And that's what counseling is all about, really. Empathy, giving the person some room to be able to be heard. And that in itself is a therapy. So they say 7% of communication is the word, only 7%. 93% is intonation and body language, which is really interesting. I remember Shiv Ramaj wanted to practice that. So rather than say anything to anybody, he was just going up to people with a smile on his face, pulling the book out, patting the bag, and then giving them the book. And he didn't say a word, and they took the book and they gave a contribution. So what it really means is communication is your consciousness more than anything else. If you're feeling very very enlivened and very happy to be doing Sankirtan, then that will communicate more than what you're actually saying, you know. So we can all work on our consciousness. We can all make our consciousness better so that we can do that. Don't taint Sankirtan with Gyan or karma. So Gyan is you're on Sankirtan and you really, really wish you were somewhere warm and nice and peaceful, next to a little chute that drops sweet balls down into your mouth, and you just lie on this hammock, and the sun's there, and there's a Hawaiian girl playing a little tambourine and singing, and every now and again, Haribol. So that's Gyan, is you just want to be liberated from any troubles, you want to be carefree. So that can taint your Sankirtan, that you resent being in this difficult situation. It's cold, people are being horrible to you. Why do I want to be in a peaceful, carefree situation? So that's Gyan. And then karma, of course, we all know. You become greedy, you become pushy, because you want to make a name for yourself. You want some reputation. You want to be recognized. So in Sankirtan, don't be afraid to start small. You know, because sometimes it's a bit all or nothing. I either want to do huge or I don't want to do it. So don't be afraid to start small, you know. I remember watching Janananda Maharaj, who were doing Sankirtan in 82 on the marathon, and we had to go into the shops. It was so funny. He would go in with the can, and he'd say, we're just helping people. He had a collecting can. He'd say, we're just helping people. And do you think it would be possible for you to help with even a penny, or even half a penny, or even a quarter of a penny? Do you think you can? And everyone's like, oh my God, you know, so they're all giving a donation in the shop, you know, but he wasn't afraid to start small, to ask for a tiny amount. And then that grew. He actually won the marathon. The biggest day was, in those days, 300 was huge. And he went out, we worked all right through till midnight at the Barras, which is the only place where anyone is kind of semi-conscious, semi-compos mentis in Glasgow on Christmas Eve. You just go down to the Barras. Anyway, so he was out there till midnight. And yeah, he did really well. And he won that marathon. So don't be afraid to start small. It's not a problem. Okay, they're not going to give huge. That's going to be a big thing on your reputation and your ego. That's fine. No problem. So the person you approach is a mirror of who you are, how the person behaves. It's hard to see who you really are when you look in the mirror. You just see this big lump of flesh looking back at you. But you can find out who you are by approaching somebody, and how they react to you is who you are. And you could think, well, I need to change everybody else. But the easiest person to change is yourself. It's a lot easier, actually, especially on Sankirtan. It's going to take a long time to change everybody. No, you shouldn't be like that. You're being far too rude. And, you know, you could slow down for one thing, you know, and I think you could give me a little bit more respect. You know, I've just been rubbing shoulders with the GBC. I don't know if you realize the significance of that. I think you should give me a little bit more respect, you know. So obviously that's not going to happen. So then you just need to change. is the best person to blame on Sankirtan is yourself. So if it's not going well, blame yourself. Don't try and blame anybody else. Nice one to remember. Look down at your bag. If you're on Sankirtan and it's really tough, look down at your bag and say this to yourself. Every book in my bag has somebody's name on it. Because every book is meant for somebody. And you're being used to distribute it, but you don't really know who's going to take them or how they're going to take them. And like Prabhupada Prana was saying, they did this survey and they found that when the person was given to the person on the street, they never read it. It was the fifth person down who read it. So usually what happened was they came back with the book and they said, I met this weird guy today and he gave me this book. It's in Swahili or something. I don't want it. Why don't we give it to Frank? He's a bit of a nutter. So Frank gets the book. Frank's looking at it. Frank, you're holding it the wrong way up. Oh, sorry, what is it? Cheetah. Baggy had cheaty. Oh no, I don't think. But I know Ken would probably like it. He's always out his brains. Check him out. Ken takes it. He's not really interested. He leaves it on the stool. His mother sees it. She passes it on to Mary. Mary's son has just come back from India and he's looking for a guru. Give it to Mary's son, Edwin. Edwin grabs it. Oh my God. And he reads it. So who you pass the book out to has got very little reference onto who's going to be reading the book usually. So the main thing is just get those books out, you know. And that book has someone's name on it. The name was Edwin, but we didn't know that. The next guy didn't know that. The next guy, Edwin's mum thought possibly, she was the only one that maybe had a bit of a clue, but nobody else knew whose name was on that book. So this is an interesting one. The longer you do Sankirtan, the less time you have to do it. Because eventually you'll be like 70, and then there won't be much time left after that. You'll have to do it. It's like somebody said once, how do I avoid leaving the movement? And the devotee said to him, just always turn up for Mangalati. He thought, wow, that's so cool. Turn up for Mangalati. But then he thought, well, if you always turn up for Mangalati, you won't be able to leave the movement because you'll be there for Mangalati, you know. So the real success of a devotee, a Sankirtan devotee, is how well he can engage and inspire others to do Sankirtan. That is the real hallmark. You look at the best devotees in ISKCON that do Sankirtan, and they're the ones that can get others to do Sankirtan, like Vaisheshika Prabhu. He's like a real Sankirtan devotee. He's so on fire about doing the Sankirtan, you just have to be in the room with him for like half an hour, and you start getting itchy feet. And you've got to get out there, you know, to distribute the book. So that's how you know you've met a real Sankirtan devotee, because he's infected with the disease himself, and everyone he comes in contact with becomes infected also. So on Sankirtan, you have to turn your attitude into gratitude. That's all you have to do. When you meet somebody on Sankirtan, then the Lord in their heart tells them that they can trust you. So that's the hidden factor that's going on that we're not aware of. We know some days are really good and everybody helps, and some days they're not. So that's according to the Lord in their heart. And he confirms inside their hearts, yep, this guy's good. Take the book, do what he's asking. This guy's okay, you know. Okay, this is a very interesting one. If you are distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, it means you are in a relationship with Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes people say that on their Facebook profile, I'm in a relationship. So you can say, I'm a Sankirtan devotee, I'm in a relationship with Srila Prabhupada. If you're reading Srila Prabhupada's books, you're in a conversation with Srila Prabhupada. You can be in a relationship, but even better is to be in a conversation. So if you're reading Srila Prabhupada's books, you're in a conversation with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is directly speaking to you, and he's telling you what you need to hear, you know. And I'm sure we've all experienced that. We've been finding it very difficult. We've sat down, we've picked up the book, and we've heard exactly what it is we need to hear, you know. So we're in a conversation. We're reading the books, we're in a conversation with Srila Prabhupada. And the very last one is, how do we measure? What is the most important dimension for measuring the success of a Sankirtan devotee? The most important dimension is not the weight of his bag and how much coins are in it, or how big his biceps are, or how high he can spring in the air after he's had a good day on Sankirtan. The most important dimension to measure a devotee's Sankirtan devotee's success is the dimension of time. If a devotee can continue on Sankirtan steadily for a long period of time, then that's the best measurement of the success of a Sankirtan devotee. Okay, any questions or comments? I hope I haven't uninspired anybody. It can seem a little bit daunting if everyone, yesterday, the devotees just climbed into Sankirtan and they were trying, and some were doing really, really well and some weren't doing so well. And the ones that weren't doing so well were a little bit daunted by the ones that were doing really, really well, Some of the devotees just took to it like a duck to water. They were back in the environment and they were swimming around and they were so like relishing, Sankirtan. And some of them were like trying to swim in the water, but it felt like a shallow river. So it can seem a little bit daunting, a little bit overwhelming at first with Sankirtan. So if it is a little bit like that and you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, then Vaisheshika Prabhu has a very, very good strategy. He says that when you come up to the ocean and you realize the ocean is really, really ice cold and everybody else is swimming around in the ocean saying, come on, come in, and you dip your toe and you think, oh, that's ice cold, So sometimes before you jump directly into the ocean and maybe die of hypothermia, is just to go into the ocean for a little bit of time and then come back out. And then a little bit more time and then come back out. And then a little bit more time and then come back out. And then gradually, you become used to the environment and you start to feel okay and comfortable. And that may take some time. But you just take somebody and say, can you swim? No. Okay, well, you're gonna have to learn pretty soon, pal, otherwise you're gonna be at the bottom of this ocean. Then he may not swim, he may sink, So that's okay. It takes time to break into it, generally, for most devotees. So we can just go out there, try it a little bit, and as we feel more at home, the environment's okay, then we can start to stay longer. I believe actually the first few times Vaisheshika Prabhu, he brings the devotees out onto the preaching field, but he won't let them do anything. He just lets them watch. They just stand around and watch other devotees, and they see how other devotees are experiencing the ecstasy and the bliss of Sankirtan. And he's thinking, wow, it must be nice to be like that. And it's creating a desire within him to want to be like that. And then he comes back and he's chanting and he's reading and he's praying. Wow, I would like to so much be like that, Gauri Devi, actually, she was one of the biggest book distributors Srila Prabhupada really loved. She was the first. She broke so many records, and when she first went out in Sankirtan, it was horrible. She said it was like chasing after people with a hypodermic needle, and they were afraid of her, and she was afraid of herself, and they didn't. She felt like she was hurting them, and they felt like. And she said the whole thing was excruciating, and she's like trying to stick this needle in them, and they're like cringing, and she's cringing. It's okay, it won't be too bad. Oh, and she said the whole thing was just excruciating. And then she said, but she kept praying to Krishna because she could see the devotees weren't having any difficulty at all. And she was thinking, I would like to be like that so much, if only Krishna would help me. And then one day it just changed and everything did swing around and she was able to do it, So sometimes that has to be there first. There has to be some vipralamba, some feeling of separation from how you would like to be as to actually how you are, So that's part of the territory. You can't really sneak around the intermediate stages of doing the Sankirtan. Sometimes you have to be feeling helpless and dependent. And Krishna wants to see one of the symptoms of a person that's actually humble is he feels very dependent upon Krishna. So sometimes Krishna has to do that to you so that you will take shelter of him and then he can empower you. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Panchatattva, did you want to ask a quick question? You look like you were about to.
Sankirtan is like the training ground for pure devotional service, which I found very nice. But I wonder if you could maybe just explain in some ways how it is actually training us for becoming pure devotees.
Well, it's training us to become free from jnana, become free from karma, to be dependent upon the Lord, and also you can't hide away. You're just you're stripped naked. There's nothing to hide behind. You can't tell people, look, I'm the temple commander. So watch yourself. Temple what? Commander. Okay. What do you want? I want you to take this book and give me a donation. Forget it, pal. It's going to have no bearing on the matter at all. So you're stripped of all that, of all those egos, and you're just you. And you're just how they see you, actually. And how they see you may not be in such a great light, So, and there's no escape. Well, you could escape. You could go into Holland and Barrett's, or you could go into the toilet and put your hands under the hand dryer for 3 hours. Or you could meet somebody that is going to talk for like 3 hours, and he's not going to help, but it's going to use up 3 hours. So that's 3 hours less that I have to do Sankirtan. So you just try and find people you can kill time with, But really, there's no way you can escape. But there's plenty of ways. Actually, I've found since I've been back, there's plenty of ways you can have pure devotional service that you have to. When you're back, there's so many intrigues when you're at the temple, so many taxing situations, so many things you have to apply yourself to. Pujari is very intense. It's in some ways it's more intense than Sankirtan. You don't have to be Pujari clean, and if you need to go to the loo, you can go to the loo. You can't do that on the altar. You've got to just do it cross-eyed, trying to dress the deities cross-eyed. Because you need to use the loo, and you can't just now. You haven't got time to take a shower and come back. And it was funny, actually, the whole place was jam-packed one time with Srila Prabhupada, the whole Radha Damodar, and he was saying to Prabhupada, what's the best thing to do, Prabhupada? It was a bit of a loaded question. It was just Sankirtan devotees, they were just crammed in, and Prabhupada said, Pujari is the best service. He said, because with Pujari, if you do devotional service, you have to go to the planet where Krishna is performing his pastimes, and then you can get trained, and then from that planet, then you can go back into Goloka. But if you Pujari, you just go back to Goloka because you've already been trained. You know how to dress Krishna. You know how to feed Krishna. You know how to bathe. You've already trained. You've already been trained. So they were like, oh, okay. They weren't expecting that. Yeah. But so Srila Prabhupada's offering is pure devotional service. And one time a temple president couldn't get this devotee to do anything. And he said, Prabhupada, he doesn't do anything. Every time I ask him to do something, he says he's chanting Hare Krishna. Prabhupada, chanting Hare Krishna. He said, yeah, Prabhupada, you won't do any service. Prabhupada said, chanting Hare Krishna is the best service. That's what Prabhupada said. So we're doing all these things. We're doing book distribution. We're doing Pujari work. But really, at the time of death, you won't be looking for your book bag. Quick, doctor, give me a bag of Gita. We're just passing these out today. Would you like to give £10 to help us with the Krishna Eco File? At the time of that, you'll just be saying, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So everything is just to train us so that when we leave cast off our mortal coil, the holy name is on our lips. And if we don't manage that, then everything else was a failure. So whatever it is, book distribution, peeling potatoes, temple commander, temple president, GBC, whatever it is, it's all a failure if the holy name is not on your lips at the time of death. Shall I finish there, Raghunath? Or have we got more time? No? Finished? Okay. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Iskon Guru in the key. Srila Prabhupada ki. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki. Go to Premanandi.
Hare Krishna. So we have some devotees have gathered this big list of ways of distributing books, because when speaking about going on the street and meeting the strangers, it can be quite daunting and challenging. So there are many other ways to pass out books. I'd like to share with you some. Actually, there are 43 ways, but I don't think we have time for all those. One very simple one is to keep one small book in your bag wherever you go. Because you will meet people, the conversation starts, so, people from in this room I can see are very, very friendly, and to start conversation, it just happens every day. And you can pull out a book and say, here is a Christmas gift for you. However, if you are not a very communicative person, then when you go to the doctor, when you go to the hairdresser, when you go to some official place where you have to sit in a waiting room, you can leave a book there on a table, and to make sure you can write it down, free gift. And you will see the books will distribute themselves. I had many times experience that sometimes people on a book distribution, sometimes people come back with a book and say, look, this is not really what I was expecting, and can you have this back? Can I give you this back to you? But they say, keep the money. I don't mind to help this. You can keep the money. Donation, like the person returns the book, but the money it stays with the devotee. So sometimes I would leave a book that has been already sponsored on a bench and just watch what happens. And you see people come, one person reads, another person reads, leaves it, another person leaves, reads it, and a fifth person looks one side, looks on the other side, puts in a pocket, and goes. So if you're very shy, then you can find a way to allow books to be distributed themselves. And as it was mentioned, we will get some books sponsored as well, in case you don't have any money. Another way, if you can't get out even out of the house for whatever reason, you have like somebody's coming to fix your shower. There is some emergency, you have to stay at home, and all day you cannot go out. You can have a book at home and give to the engineer or the delivery driver or Royal Mail officer. Also, another wonderful way to distribute books, and we actually prepared for that, is like have them very nicely packed as presents. So you can give as a Christmas gift. People will not refuse when it's very, very nice packed. Somebody was telling today, I think Krishna Chandra Prabhu, that if it's very, very nice packed, people will not refuse it. It will feel very bad to refuse it. And Christmas time, of course, is a good time to do that. But also there are birthdays and other kind of anniversaries, wedding, etc. You can pass out books. Graduations. Also, in Glasgow, there are many Asian shops that are actually owned by Indians. And Baleshwar Prabhu has been doing this kind of Sankirtan. He speaks with them and places some books and donation box. And they take a book and give a donation. And the books go out themselves again. But I think this type of distribution has been monopolized by Baleshwar already. But maybe you're in a different part, of Scotland, and you can do that. Also, you can give books in local libraries, or you can even, we used to do, you go local library or a bookshop in the religious section and leave a Prabhupada's books there. So you get like a very targeted audience who are interested. Yes, and also other places are quite open to this kind of distribution. And part of Indian shops is health food shops, new age shops like crystals, that kind of thing. Charity shops, second-hand shops. They'll be very, a lot of them will be happy either to buy a book or display a book, or in some way, you can distribute those books. Also, some devotees really like to do to big events and large crowd gatherings where there are like a big queues when people wait in a queue to get a ticket, get in the concert event. So because kind of people are waiting and gathering, they cannot just run away from you. So if you feel confident to approach them, then you can distribute a lot of books. And of course, Harinam Sankirtan is a wonderful way. When you do Harinam stationary and people start to gather around, these are usually best people to take a book. Also, especially for those who live in some, suburbs, when you go shopping, you're gonna start meet the same people, shop owners or people who live in a local area, neighbors. These are fantastic people to pass the books out. And also we have a book distribution, door-to-door party. Lord Nityananda used to do it, Haridas Thakur used to do it, Jambavan is doing, one of our devotees, and Jayananda Prabhu is doing door-to-door, very expert book distributors. You can join them, and it makes it a lot easier when you do it with somebody who knows what they're doing. In the beginning, it's good just repeat what they're saying, because there is some energy and empowerment with the people who are doing well. So if you say the same thing, often it will work, especially if you do it with faith. And then slowly you'll develop your own style. Also, another amazing place to distribute are like a yoga studios. Last year I went to Dundee, and this yoga teacher had a little Christmas, like a yoga books table set up in her yoga studio. The table, something like that, for Christmas she had a few yoga books. and they managed to sell her like a bunch of books with Bhagavad Gita, Signs of Self-Realization, Higher Taste, that she placed it on her book table. Another amazing way for those who are really good cooks is make very nice cookies, cakes, and distribute prasadam or set up a little table. That's very natural and traditional way in UK is to set up a table with some kind of bake sale for charity. It's basically like a cakes, cookies, and etc. You sell it for charity. Many people do it. Yeah, you give a books together with a cookie. Also, some people live in hotels. Actually, you can donate books to be placed in a hotel rooms. You'll find many Bibles are there. Christian people took advantage of that. So you know a lot of Ukrainian devotees live in hotels. They actually can place some books. Some books can be placed in the hotel rooms. And also some people are really good to connect with business people, like kind of certain mindset who finds it easy to connect with business owners and etc. Then you can actually ask a business owner to buy a bunch of books and to distribute as a Christmas present to his employees and her employees. And also we'll have a book distribution party very regularly in Glasgow. So if you want to get kind of that Sankirtan energy, you can meet book distributors in the town. Also, if you're feeling shy a little bit, you can make a book distribution buddy, a friend. Buddy is a friend. Make a partnership with someone, friendship, and you go out together as a team. Because you make a resolution tomorrow, I'm gonna do some, and then when you get up in the morning, you think, oh, I'm not feeling so well. But then the friend is ringing you, hey, let's go. And you say, okay. So it helps. And the next time you do the same thing. Whenever you distribute a book, or even you don't distribute it, then give a big smile to a person. Whenever you distribute book, or when you don't distribute book, give a nice smile to a person. Because even if you don't distribute the next time, they will be a lot more favorable to take a book. And just a couple more to finish, the more interesting ones for those who are planning to visit some relatives and they're gonna take a flight. There's always a magazine rack in front of you. You can leave a book in there. And if if you cannot distribute books for whatever reason, you can also sponsor for somebody else to distribute them. And also you can cover somebody's services. Sometimes there's a really good book distributor, but they have a lot of service to do and they cannot go out. So you can offer that to cover the person, maybe even for a few hours, and whatever it is, maybe do some garlands, help with cookings, do some tidying up or whatever, or come to the temple and offer these services so that devotees can go out and distribute books for a few hours. Yeah. Another really powerful way to distribute books, and it's not very difficult, is to distribute books to yourself. Every time you come to the temple, get another book that you don't have yet. Now I can speak relatively easy in English language, but the reason it is that at one point I decided I want to read the books in Lithuanian language. I'm gonna read them in English. The reason I speak reasonable English, I just repeat that again, is because I read English books instead of Lithuanian books of Srila Prabhupada. So you can have entire set. Actually, Prabhupada wanted that we have entire set of Srila Prabhupada's books in our homes and libraries. And of course, if you are starting your new life in Scotland, you can start small, get a small book, and then another one. And then slowly you can have an entire set. And then you know that Srila Prabhupada is definitely living in your house with you, and then you have an entire set. Srila Prabhupada is living in your house. There is nothing impossible for in your life anymore. It is the last life in the material existence. So we have here very nice books that we set up. There is some like a gift packs that is possible to take. We have actually discounted prices, especially for today. We also have like a packages that you can also take away, because I mentioned this of 40 ways that we mentioned. Actually was a bit less. Sorry, I forgot that you need to translate. Yes, so next Sunday the discount won't be there. Today is a special pre-marathon price. No. Yes, so a special price, and there's some nice Christmas gifts that you can give out, and also we have like packages of books that are not packed, as the gifts. We also have a little discount for those too. So after Kirtan, I would like to very warmly invite you to take advantage of this special price. Yes, so I'll tell the prices after the Kirtan. Yeah. Jai Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Would you like to say?
So all that remains is for us to go and do it now. So if you need books, then just contact anyone in your area. If you're in Glasgow, Balashwar may have some stock, or if you're around here or you need some books delivered, let us know and we'll get them to you. Or you can speak with us. I'll be here throughout the month of December, and I can make sure the books are made available to the devotees. We also report our scores to the National Sankirtan Marathon score sheet. In the material world, when we have a competition, then there's a winner and there's losers. In the spiritual competition, then everyone's a winner. If you're competing with someone, just like Ragnath was talking about a Sankirtan buddy, sometimes you might think, okay, this devotee and me, we are kind of neck and neck in this transcendental competition, so you try to play off each other. And the transcendental nature of it is you're increasing the book distribution, so more people are getting Prabhupada's mercy. And you're happy. If you do really well and somebody beats you, then you're actually happy that they did even better. Not that it becomes a mundane thing where we're fighting or envious with each other or tripping each other up or hiding their book bag or something. Sometimes a little bit of rascaldom like that goes on, but it's all in good spirit. And we find also this is when a lot of the whatever else is going on in our mind throughout the whole year, when we get into this marathon mood, then a lot of that stuff just dissipates and the mind becomes really fully engaged because we're connecting with the mercy of the Lord. So I'd like to introduce everyone to Nivedita here. She's going to be receiving the scores from all the devotees of the Scottish Yatra. And she will pass them on to Varshana in the UK score sheet. For the first week of the marathon, Varshana's in Hungary. So there'll be a bit of a backlog of scores, but then after that, we'll start to see the score sheets coming every day, showing where everybody is. So if you've got somebody here or in another temple who you're competing with, you can get to see what's happening. So just remember that the Lord is the eternal friend of everybody. Bhoktaram Jagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhutanam Gyavamam Shantam Richati. So Krishna is the eternal well-wishing friend of every living entity. And as we're carrying this message of the Lord to them, then we're also being their well-wishing friend. And when we approach people in that mood, they will sense that. And that's when it gets really nice. You can have nice relationships with people in the street, and sometimes people will come back again and again. So we could be here all night sharing wonderful Sankirtan stories, but I just remember one. I was on Union Street. It was when Ash and I were in Scotland in the very early days. And the only book we had was Perfection of Yoga. Perfection of Yoga. And one guy used to come every week and just buy the same book. I said, oh, you must have about 6 of those. He said, yeah, just like the exchange. So people sense that they get a nice, they don't get an interaction like that anywhere in the world when they take a book and give a donation. When they go to some clothes shop or something like that, it's not the same kind of interaction. Yeah, the interaction between the devotee and whoever gets the book, They can't experience that interaction in any relationship in the material world. And another thing which is also good to remember is we may have to take on a little difficulty to kind of overcome our false ego or laziness, the weather or whatever. But whatever little difficulty we undertake, we're saving them from great difficulty. Do you want me to say it again? Yeah, whatever austerity or difficulty we undertake to do the book distribution, then that we are saving those people from a much greater difficulty by giving the books. Yeah. I don't understand Ukrainian, but I think you got the message. Okay, so we'll make the. Should we just use your email address, or you want to create a particular address for it? Okay, we'll put it on the KB WhatsApp. I think that's probably the best place to put it. We'll put that on the WhatsApp thing. But it's only for book distribution scores. It's not for any other purpose. And we'll keep everybody informed. Anyone get any final questions or comments? All right. Iskon Guruvinda ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shishi Kodnitai Ma Prashashi ki, Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Distribution Marathon ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. So Ragnath did mention about some books. If you want to come up and have a look and see what's here, Ragnath will take care of you.
Chakshulanlitam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Bhutale Vedanta Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha